Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today is March 7th, 2022, and we have the new superintendent of the Mendon Upton Regional School District, Maureen Cohen. Welcome, Maureen.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You went, Maureen, from in 2013, you were the director of, what was it now?
Curriculum.
Curriculum.
Yep.
Then you went up to the assistant to Joe, who was the superintendent.
Yep.
And then you were interim.
Mm-hmm. And
now we have her in our clutches. This is great. How did you find out about the job? Just when you were in there working, you found out?
For the superintendency job?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So when I was in the role of assistant superintendent for a number of years, and Joe had this opportunity to go to another location, start up a school, and at that time, I was aware that that was happening, and he put in for that, and I had the opportunity to be named as interim, so that was a great opportunity for me to start off this school year. So that was August 1st when I was named interim, and then I went through the search process, superintendent interview process, and we entered into negotiations with the school committee in January.
Yeah. So. And you came on board?
I came on board
the end of January as the superintendent? Or?
So, yep. So that's, it was probably mid to end of January, correct.
So this is great. Yep. What are some of the visions that you have for our school district?
Well, what's fortunate about me being in a transition role where I've been in the district for so long, so I'm in my 9th year now as part of the district, is that I've been part of the strategic planning that we've had, and our vision has been well established going back to 2018. And so, with our mission statement, it's we empower all learners to thrive, and so that's what we've been trying to do as much as we can throughout this pandemic, of course, in focusing on the well-being of our students and their academic performance and well-being. But what we're really excited about now, if we're hopefully, cross my fingers, heading out of the pandemic, we're hoping that we can really get back to fully concentrating on some of our goals. So we've spent a lot of time on building something called project-based learning.
Project-based learning?
Project-based
What's
learning,
that?
yes. So you have your students working together, authentic experiences where they get to interact with people in the community, and they go after problems that are relevant in the community. So one example, we have civic action projects that take place at the high school.
Yeah.
And there are history classes. They take place in the 8th grade as well as part of a state law around civics. But one thing they get to do, they identify problems either locally or in the world, and then they start to develop solutions and work with community members. So it's really meaningful work. And so we're excited about this opportunity to keep building upon that, which we've been starting the last number of years. Something else as part of our strategic plan from a number of years ago is we built what's called a portrait of a learner. Some people in some districts call it a vision of a graduate or vision of a or a portrait of a graduate, but we call it a portrait of a learner, and because we're all learners, and so building all the way from pre-K all the way through to graduation, we've identified the types of competencies that we think our students should have when they go out into the world, whatever it may be for college or career.
What's it called again?
It's called a portrait of a learner.
Everyone learns so differently, too.
Yeah, so some things we've identified, for example, is global citizenship, and that we're all, need to be able to work and interact and with people from all around the world. And so that's one competency. Another would be an inspired innovator as another competency. And we're trying to give a lot of hands-on experiences with our students so they can learn the design thinking process and problem solve. So we're integrating this portrait throughout pre-K to 12, so then when they graduate, they're really ready for the world that is to come and not maybe the world that I remember.
When did that idea, it's great, when did it come up? Was it your idea?
No, it wasn't my idea. I would say probably there's been a movement within the last 5 years or 7 years to really identify these competencies, and so that became embedded within our strategic planning that we did, and we're in our 4th year of our 5-year strategic plan.
And that's for all the schools in the system?
Yes.
They start from, is it pre or K?
Pre-K, yep.
Okay.
grades ages 3 and 4. We do have a in-school
I
pre-K
got to ask you a
program
question.
too.
I've read over the years that when somebody, by the time they're 6 years old, and I may be wrong, that their personality is pretty well, do you believe that? It's pretty well ensconced? What do you think?
I think your personality is,
Yeah.
the essence of a lot of that who you are, but all your skills and what you can learn and grow and
way.
reflect, think of your own experience or my own experience over the years. I'm certainly at the core.
Yeah.
I look back and think, oh, I guess it makes sense. I'm a superintendent now when I think of what I've done all through my childhood. I've been very reflective lately, but my personality, it's changed a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm probably the same.
No, I know that when I was in first grade,
Mhm.
I don't know where she found it, but you know how you get your report cards?
Yep.
And my first grade teacher wrote on one of them, I don't know how, but she goes, Janet is a leader. She said, I reminded her of when she was little, but I don't know where she got it to this day. I don't, at that age, I don't remember doing one thing that would have made her think that, but there you go.
You must have.
Do you
Yeah.
have children, Maureen?
I do. I have 2 boys, Connor and Liam.
Yeah.
Connor is 16, and he goes to BBT.
Yeah.
And Liam is 13, and he goes to Grafton Middle School.
Grafton Middle School.
Yeah.
So you live in Grafton. So
I do. Yep.
Now at BVT, what is your son majoring in?
Yeah. So he's in electronics, and he loves it. So he's just very, very much the engineer, and so that was a really good fit for him.
So you cover BVT too in your position?
I don't.
Okay.
That's considered a separate district, but we're one of the sending schools for towns that send students to that district. Just like where I live in Grafton,
Right.
it's one of the sending towns, so they take a certain percentage who apply and
Yeah.
can get into that.
I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, it's a wholly different thing now with these vocational schools. You have to have good grades to get in,
Yeah.
and it's looked at much differently. Back when I was growing up, it was like, well, it was kind of like last chance garage. It's not that way now. I've heard it's quite difficult to get in sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're in charge of Nipmuc, our
Yep.
high school.
Yep.
It's called MERSD, but what does that mean?
Yeah, so MERSD stands for Mendon Upton Regional School District, so
Okay.
that's a mouthful. So
Yeah.
sometimes we put MERSD
Yeah.
to communicate. But we have Nipmuc Regional High School, 9 through 12. We have Misco Hill Middle School,
Mm-hmm.
which is grades 5 through 8, and we have students from Mendon Upton there. And then we have H.P. Clough Elementary School in Mendon,
What's that?
which is our elementary
Oh,
school,
okay. I got
pre-K to 4 for our Mendon students, and then we have Memorial Elementary School here in
Right
Upton,
here,
right over
yeah,
here,
yeah.
and that's pre-K to 4 as well, and then they come together in grade 5 in the middle school.
We're talking with Maureen Cohen, and she is our new superintendent here in the Mendon Upton Regional School District. And we're happy to have her. That's for sure. I like change. I like it. A lot of people hate it, but I like it because it's always important to get new ideas in and all. Is there one particular place you see in our school system that really makes you want to we've got to move on with this. We've got to change this. What do you think?
I think one thing, we're always a type of district, and the reason why I came to this district many years ago is we're very innovative, and we're always looking to continuously improve. And so that's just part of our strategic planning process. We're always looking for how we can keep improving. A few areas we've identified that I see, and I'm doing a lot of presentations right now related to the budget, is I would say we know we want to capitalize more on community partnerships.
Right.
Which I think probably any school district is wants to do that, but
Sure.
I know that we're just on the beginning stages of that, of bringing in, and now with COVID, prior to COVID, we were starting to have more events and more
Yeah.
activities. We have something called Inspired Learning Days, which is kind of like a conference day for students where they get to have different courses and classes and workshops related to their own personal interests.
Yeah.
And we usually bring community members in for that.
Yeah.
And so, for example, at the high school, we have that coming up soon on the 17th. We just had it at the middle and elementary schools before break. But anyways, back to the partnership. We couldn't have as many people in the buildings
Yeah.
for the last couple of years, so our goal is to now build that back. So I would say that's probably the biggest area, and other areas for growth. would be around, just we're always looking for new electives or specials and new programs that our students are asking for. So we have, for example, a really strong business program at the high school. But right now, we're looking to see what are some technology type of courses. So in the budget proposal that I'll be presenting at the budget hearing, we'll talk about our computer science teacher. That is a request in the budget because our goal, we have so much interest now that we want to be able to offer computer science starting in 9th grade and going up through the grades. So there are a number of those types of other electives that students are asking for that we'd like to meet.
What about the students who can't afford a computer at home? That always bothers me. Can you help them?
That's a great question. So I think one of the benefits of COVID is we are now a one-to-one district. And when I say one-to-one, it means we have a device for every one of our students. So we had already been one-to-one in our middle school and high school for many, many years, where we would have school-issued iPads. They take it home. They work essentially as, a computer, right? But more portable. And so then we've been able to, through all the various grants that we've had, we've been able to purchase, because we were remote or in this hybrid fashion over COVID and throughout the pandemic last year. So that was really helpful. We needed to make sure that all of our students had devices. And when we did surveys, most of our community did, but not all. And so we want to make sure that everyone has that access. So it might not be laptops, but they have iPads that they've been able to use.
So they all feel included.
Yes.
That would drive me crazy if by any chance it was my family and part of the family couldn't afford to have a computer, and my kid would want one. I'm like, what are we going to do? We're talking with Maureen Cohen. Maureen, how can they reach you if they have a question about our school system?
Oh, well, you can always find me on the website there or on social media. So one place is just to be able to send me an email. So it's mcohen@mursd.org. But if you have specific questions at the building level, definitely reach out to the principals and teachers. Everyone's always willing to answer questions and make sure everyone knows the info that they need.
You have an open door.
Yes, of
course.
course.
Where's your office?
That's a great question, too. So lots of good questions. We are located, central office, superintendent's office is located in the back of Misco Hill Middle School.
Okay.
And so when you're coming to the middle school, we're in the back right-hand
I
side.
think I brought my son when he was going to register for school. Could be. Yeah, you come into the right, you're coming up Mendon Road, take that right. There's a building kind of in the back.
Yeah, it's
older
connected,
building.
But it's this back section. Yep.
Was it an older building or was it added?
They had a renovation. I don't recall what year it was, but they had renovations, and that space was made into this superintendent's space.
Here's a question for you. Why is it so doggone hard for schools to give a kid who deserves it an IEP? 401 or not 401? What's that other one that they can get? The first one?
504.
504. Got the number. Okay. That was easy. But to get an IEP, I had to actually, literally, for my son, I had to get the Children's Federation from Boston, a free, what are they? They're in between. What's the word? Not mentor. Negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
She came. She was terrific. I was in Grafton, and she would come and talk with me. What is it that you would really want for your child? She'd go next door and talk with the group of staff. Bingo, we had an agreement. Mm-hmm. But most parents don't realize they have this power to do this. We're paying people, our tax dollars. You have the power to get in there and be represented and have your child be treated to get an IEP if they deserve it. Yeah, they don't have to be slow learners or anything. It could be somebody with a conduct disorder, or they just learn differently. So it's important to get an IEP. Why is it so difficult? Because the school pays for it?
So I don't know if I would say, at least now, I can't speak to your experience that it's difficult, but there's a process. And one thing that I'm hearing you say, sometimes parents don't necessarily always know or it didn't know what that process was, right? So one thing that we do, we have a lot of communications that go out. We just recently actually updated our Department of Student Services and Special Ed website, where if you were thinking, oh, how do I do that? How do I make a referral? Who do I call? all of that information is there. And so then usually it will happen where we have, processes within school where we work through in like a student support team. So if a child is struggling on whatever it may be,
Sure.
they'll meet, they'll try to see what kind of different interventions they do. And a lot of times that takes place before an IEP needs to be put in place, because sometimes general accommodations in the classroom that we have a lot of that taking place already, so we meet those needs. But really, it's a set process that you go through for an IEP. So one, you want the parents to be able to understand what that process is,
Sure.
have resources like you are talking about. So we have all those
Free resources.
free resource. We have all of that listed as well.
Yeah.
But really, it's a collaborative team process, and so you work through that.
I remember
And-
when was it back in Whitensville? My son grew up a lot in Whitensville.
Yep.
And I think he was in 2nd, 3rd grade. And they were doing, the MCAS. They were starting all that up.
Oh, I know.
And a lot of kids are not, as you know, good. They've got it up here, but emotionally they just, oh my God, I can't sit here. I'm out of here. I can't do anything. So they get nervous about the test. So what the vice principal did, nobody made a big deal about it, came in, he said, well, let's go out for a walk during the test. My son, yeah. So they went out, shoot the breeze, came back in, he sat down, he took the test. It was the connection of things are okay, they're going to be okay, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah.
How often do we have people in the school system who they don't want to punish the kid? It's like, let's go. And they tell the teacher, don't worry about it, he'll be back. And they go for a walk.
Yeah.
They talk about things guys talk about. He came back in, sit down, and there he is.
Yeah.
It's that they have the ability, it's maybe they don't have the confidence and they feel scared. I've heard that some kids throw up before that. That's pretty scary. That sounds, remember the SATs?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't throw up, but I was like, oh my God, I've got to sit here for 3 hours. And by the time it's over, you're like, when in doubt, circle number 3. I got into college, I don't know how I did it, but it was agony. Did you find it that way too?
Well, I can't say I love taking a test. No, I don't think anybody likes that.
No.
I think the difference now from when we first started MCAS, that was pretty scary, pretty intense. It was new.
Yeah.
Now this whole generation of students, I hate to say it, but they, except for when you're just starting it and that's 3rd grade, but they have learned that this is just part of the process that we have these assessments. So it's hasn't become as big of a thing as it did right in the beginning in those first years.
Like
and I was a
saying.
teacher at the time when MCAS came out that first year, and I remember, it's the first time we all had to administer these tests, all that. Now it's we don't love it, but it's part of what we do, and it's one little blip of information, but we have lots of other ways to assess our students, and there are lots of accommodations that are available for MCAS as well. So small group and different breaks, that's one of the accommodations, and our teachers in Mendon Upton, they're
Real
great.
cool.
They're
They got
great.
it.
Yeah,
They're hitched in.
They got it. Yeah.
I know that, what was it? This slipped my mind again. But I know that, I know, my son told me, he said, well, the teacher we had, it was 3rd grade, teacher we had, he was out there, he was so nervous, he was pacing the floor, kids didn't see this thing. That kind of struck me the wrong way, that, look, guys, what you're doing is you're telegraphing this to the children in your room. They're going to think this is all about you and they got to please you. No, it's about them. And if the teacher needs to step up something or ease up on something, he will, she will.
Yeah.
But my son was very quick at spotting stuff like that. Not everybody is.
Yeah.
But he was a handful. He would stand up to the teacher and say, "You're not teaching it right," and walk out the door. I did not have nothing to do with this. So they had to accommodate him. He had it, but he didn't think they were doing it. But what he was saying is, you're not accommodating how I can learn. I learn different, maybe hands-on. Love science. What does that tell you? Love science, hands-on. Every kid is different. What do they say? There's kinesthetic learning, hands-on. Some people learn better by seeing, vision. Others by hearing.
Yeah.
It depends. I'm all three.
Yeah.
At all three. Especially with math. I had to have a tutor in high school just to pass sophomore year. College prep. Should never have taken it. She sat down with me and she was wonderful. She made it very, almost artistic. Oh, wow, I even wanted to write like her. But she got it. My parents were smart. They got a good, she was a senior and patient. First day I met her, she came in, and I was kind of scared of her. She says, I hear you had a bad day. That was it. Kismet. I loved her. She was leveling right with me. I think it's so important as teachers to know that the kid isn't a bad kid. They just learn differently. They feel they're differently wired inside.
Well, that's a lot of the work we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So we just introduced a program called Thrively as an example.
What's it called?
Thrively.
Thrively.
And so
Ooh.
we're able to survey it. There is a free version out there for anybody who wants to just try it out, but we have it in the district. And so students take strength tests, like a strength finder, an interest inventory. And so it starts to build the profile for the student of what their strengths are and passions and interests.
Right.
And then, but what's great now is then all of the teachers are able to see that, and then there's follow-up about how that links to their skills with the portrait of the learner that I talked about before, but also career pathways and interests.
Yeah.
And so our big focus this year has been about like really understanding our students, and that's been a big part of our work, especially in the pandemic, and then supporting them with the different supports that they need, and then engaging them with that higher order, deeper learning type of experiences.
What she's saying hits home so well. Maureen, this is just awesome. I remember years and years ago, he was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Everything was medical, pre-med. We'd go to UMass, he'd squish his way right up, stand with the doctor and listen to his father's diagnosis. And then we'd go to a yard sale, and I'd say, well, pick out a toy, He comes up to me with a paperback, thick paperback, Grey's Anatomy or the DSM? Yeah. I'm like, are you sure? Yes. So right from the beginning, they were dealing, teachers, and it's hard for them not to be able to cope with all kinds of children. I understand that, but there are kids who learn a different way. Maybe they're a little ahead in one way, but they're back in another way. It's kind of interesting. Their vocabulary in kindergarten, the teacher said, well, he's like a little old man. What are you talking about? He'll come up and he'll have a skeleton and he'll tell me all about this, as if I should do. What do you do with that? I don't know where it came from, but at first we thought
that reminds me of my son. One of my sons, the knowledge base in his head and his ability to retain on any subject.
Exactly.
And just almost like how you described when he was younger, just his ability to his vocabulary, And
when he was in, I guess it was first grade, I said, boy, I'm going to grab this right now. How often does a kid have I didn't care about what they want to do that early? So I thought, okay. So I started a Club Med for any kids who might want to be a nurse someday. You never know, but you have fun with it. We went to Life Flight in UMass. The kids got to get in and walk out.
Wow.
We had one of the local doctors come and talk with them. So one day in first grade, Wally brought in his stethoscope, a real one from UMass. He was pretty proud. My son came home and was a different guy. I'm never doing that again. I said, what are you talking about? He said, she let them laugh at me. And this is the same teacher who knew I had started Club Med. And she once said to me, what do you hope to gain from that, Janet? I'm really like, really? Don't you understand that any parent can do that? If you're a child, Legos, or like you say, engineering, for God's sake, start a group. Well, you can't hurt. What are you going to lose? Do you like that idea?
I love that.
Bring it to Maureen. I think she will do. Maureen, again, how can they reach you?
Yeah, they can reach me at my email, which is mcohen@mursd.org. If you have specific district questions, or you can go to our website. You can also follow me on Twitter. I think might be Maureen M. Cohen at Twitter. On Twitter, that's my handle. And also, you can find me on Facebook too. There's I don't post too much there, but I do have a professional Facebook, Maureen Cohen.
She's not shy.
Yeah.
And her door is open. Speaking of that door, do parents have to make an appointment to see her, or can they walk in?
Well, people can always walk in. The door's open. I am pretty booked up for most of my days, so it would make sense. I'm in the buildings every day as well, so I'm not always in the office. So if people needed to reach me, it would make sense to make an appointment.
That sounds good. Are they
Yeah.
going to be having those wonderful book fairs, Scholastic?
Yeah, they're having those. Yep, they've been having them. Yep.
They have?
They have.
Oh, I bet. I'd
Yeah,
like to go.
they do that. They always have that for our kiddos. Yep.
Well, I have my son presented me with grandchildren about when he was about 19. I thought that would be 10 years from now. So I go, and I'm looking for cute books and everything. And there's even adult books there, the Scholastic Center, and then you have the adults and
Yeah.
different things. When did I miss this? I usually go to Memorial.
Oh, okay.
When is that?
I don't know. They have them pretty periodically, like pretty frequently.
During
they
COVID?
have it.
Did they shut it?
They might have done some virtually. I know I saw some set up where students this year were able to walk through and
Yeah.
see it, and then send it in. But
Sure.
yeah, no, they always have that. Our PTOs typically will help organize that, so the Memorial PTO or Clough PTO
Yeah.
would know the dates of the upcoming
Yeah, they have a
book
sign out
fairs.
front
Yeah,
sometimes.
but I definitely have walked through and seen
Yeah.
them. Definitely, I love books, so that's my
yeah.
favorite place to be is a library or bookstore.
definitely. We have
so
a great library here in Upton,
we
too.
do, yeah.
Do you give presentations at all to different places if they ask you to come?
I do. Yep. I was just actually recently asked to present at the Upton's Men's Club this
Ooh.
coming week, coming month. So in a couple weeks I'll be doing that. But yeah, just like this, I definitely can give presentations and talk about the district, answer questions. And my goal, even though I've been here, my role as assistant superintendent was more behind the scenes within the schools, supporting the teachers and the curriculum for our students. So now, in this role, even though I've been here, I really want to spend a lot of time where I can get to know more people in the community and learn more about the community
They want
as
to get
well.
to know you too,
Yeah.
believe me.
So that's my goal.
Can parents come to you? Let's say not every child is paired. I saw this in Whitensville with, I don't know which teacher it was, one of them. I got him out of there fast. Not because she was bad, it's just that it was a horrible mix. That happens. Can they feel free to come and say, look, this doesn't seem to be a good match. Can we please try and get him into maybe another class? That's possible, isn't it? We did. I made it happen.
So that wouldn't be those types of conversations would take place at the building level with the teachers if there was something going on, or with the principals. Typically we don't make too many class changes because it can be disruptive for students, but I'm always recommend you always want to go to the closest point of contact of where something is happening. So even though I'm aware of things going on in the district, you would want to talk to the principal and the teacher
The
and
principal
the people
and the teacher.
in that building. Yep.
I think in high school they have, do they have in junior high, do they have the...
It's a middle school. Yep,
what do you
grades
call it?
5
The
through-
go-between, the counselor.
Yep, we have counselors.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, that's good.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
at all the buildings we have counselors. So
I think that's the only time my son ever, and I could see it. Other kids were leaving the class too, and I could see it happening. And I'm like, he's dreading going to school every day. That's not like him. He's a pretty social kid.
yeah,
So I thought, something's up. So I kind of waited. I took my time. I was fair. Talked with her. Talked with this one, and I said, okay, we're going to need to make a change because this isn't helping him any. I don't know. It happens. It's like we are all in workplaces. There's somebody we don't work well with. All right. If you can't solve it, move on. Thank you, Maureen, for being with us. We should have you on again.
Yeah.
She is our wonderful new
Thank you.
superintendent in the Mendon Upton Regional School District. Her office is over at, is it the Misco School?
Misco Hill Middle School in the back of
So
it.
she's over in the back.
Yep.
And did you give them your phone number?
I can.
Yeah, sure. How can they reach
it's
you?
508-634-1585.
Any extension?
That would bring you to the
That
main line.
directly to
Yep.
her.
Or to the main line, and then they
Yeah.
can send it to me.
See, she
yeah.
looks like a very friendly type. Certainly.
I think
And
I am. I can consider myself pretty friendly. So.
There you go. And she has kids too. Very important.
Yeah.
Very one is in our school system, and the other one is women. Now, one's in the Grafton.
One's in Grafton, one goes to BBT.
To BBT.
Yeah.
And what year is
Yeah.
your BBT's?
He's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore.
Yeah,
That
just
was
got his
my-
permit.
No?
Just got his first job.
He did?
He did. He
At-
just worked this weekend for his
At what
first
year?
time.
At what year?
He's 16, so he's just working over at the Grafton Inn. Got his first job ever. Very exciting times
In
in
the
our
kitchen,
house.
or is he like an usher?
He's in the kitchen. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I tried to get my son in there, but
Yeah.
he is so fussy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
They're
so
all so
exciting
different.
times right now.
They're so different.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank
and
you.
when are your school committee meetings, and can anybody come?
Yeah, all of our meetings are open meetings, and they're every other Monday at 7 o'clock. And we do a hybrid model, so we do project it out as well over Zoom, and the links are always posted on our website. But for this year, we've been hosting it at Nipmuc High School in our Professional Development Center, which is up on the 3rd floor.
I think I've been in there. My husband used to film those shows up there when Joe Mazarczyk was with us. How long was Joe with us?
About 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
You're going to be with us. Well, you've got to stay. You've got to stay. You've got some good ideas coming up. So thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, thank you
Don't
very
be shy.
much.
We're going to have you on again.
Sounds great. I'd love to.
All right. See you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.